Welcome back to part 2 of my failed aquascape video series. If you watched last week's video, you'll already know this, but if you didn't watch it, let me catch you up to speed. Basically what happened in this 45 view behind me is 6 weeks ago now that I think about it, 6 weeks ago, I built what I thought was gonna be a really cool aquascape. Several weeks after I built it, all hell broke loose. The plants started dying, everything melted back, algae took a chokehold on this tank, and unfortunately, there was just nothing I could do to save it. I was doing daily maintenance and it looked like I had never done maintenance in the first place. Just absolutely ridiculous. It was just a pain and an eyesore. And since this tank is in my living room, I wanted it to look nice and I didn't want it to look ugly. And I found that the more time I spent staring at this tank in my living room, the more I didn't like it. Everything from the plant choice to the hardscape, and then just the algae everywhere. It was just very difficult to find myself enjoying it. Since it is in my living room, I want to enjoy it. I wanted to enjoy the tank to its fullest potential. And ultimately, I decided to tear it all down and we're gonna start fresh. So this tank has now gone under 2 scapes in the last 6 weeks. So today's video is gonna be a little bit different because I'm gonna try something I've never done before. Let's get right into the build. All right, so the new plan in this tank is to do something I've never done before, like I just said. And that type of scape is a Brazilian style aquascape. I've always loved these type of scapes and I've always wanted to try one, but I've never actually gotten the guts to give it a go. I saw a couple images online that really inspired me and gave me some direction in what I wanted to do. So I'm gonna go grab my tools. We're gonna turn this tank right here, this boring old crypt covered tank, into a Brazilian style aquascape. Let's get right into it. All right, so since I was already working with an established tank, I wanted to keep the filter running, and that way I wasn't gonna lose the beneficial bacteria inside. So I grabbed a bucket, started a siphon, and filled this bucket with tank water. Once I had the bucket filled, I turned on the filter again and left it running while I rescaped the tank. I then siphoned out as much of the water as possible because I wanted to plant this tank dry. I had a bag of leftover aqua soil that was still beneficial and still full of nutrients, so I just used that in this tank and then I added a little bit more. The soil in this build is UNS Contra soil and it's a mix of brown and black. Now for the hardscape of this build, I'll be using Black Mountain Cerulean Stone. And after a little bit of work, this is what I came up with. I think the composition is strong and has loads of possibilities. Yep, for the first time in 4 years, I broke a lily pipe. And that sound is exactly what happened. Luckily, I had a spare intake, so I was able to attach that and get to the filling of the tank. Once the tank was filled and all settled, this is what it looked like, which means it was time for plants. Now, over the last month or so, I've been collecting plants in my plant holding aquarium, and specifically this Rotala blood red, as well as Rotala green, and all sorts of plants that I had specifically planned for this build. Once I had the plants pulled out, it was time to drain the water from the tank again and plant dry. All right, so it's been about 5 weeks now since I filled this tank up and got it planted. And I have to say, I think it's looking really good. If you saw the build video of this tank before I tore it down and rescaped it, I have to say, I think this scape looks a lot better than the one that I tore down. I'm really pleased with it, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm absolutely in love with the colors, the scape itself, everything about it just kind of, I feel like, screams my style and my type of aquascape. And I'm so excited and so happy that it's in my gallery, as opposed to the last tank where I wasn't happy about it at all. This tank did go through some brown diatom algae when I got it all planted, but I threw in some autosynculuses, and then with some manual removal with a toothbrush, it's really just kind of taken its own, and everything's super healthy. There's still a little bit of trace amounts of algae in this tank, but nothing that I can't handle with my weekly maintenance, and it gives the shrimp and autos something to munch on. I do want to thank the folks over at Boost Plant for sending me all these plants. The Rotala, I already had it in my aquarium, but some of the plants like the Bucephalandra, the HC Cuba, things like that, the folks over at Boost Plant sent me, so I'm super thankful for them. If you're not familiar, Boost Plant is a channel sponsor, and they've been with me since the very beginning of my aquascaping journey, so I'm super thankful for all that they do to help me make these aquariums and make my aquascaping dreams come true. I've got a link in the video description to their website, and it is an affiliate link, so if you want to buy something from there, you'll be directly supporting my channel at no extra cost to you. So make sure to go check them out. I do also want to make a note that the Rotala Indica Bonsai is not sent by Boost Plant. I bought that off my friend Kyle, so I'll leave a link to his website in the video description as well. Massive shout out to Kyle. Thank you for sending me the Rotala Indica Bonsai. It's been a bucket list plant of mine for probably about 3 years now, and I'm super excited to have it in this tank. Now with the HC Cuba carpet, I'm trying something that I've never actually really done before with HC Cuba specifically, and that's keeping the carpet low. Typically when I have an HC Cuba carpet, I like it thick and full and bushy, but in this case, I wanted to keep it super low profile, super low to the ground, and I think it's doing really well. I'd say it's probably about 95 to 98% complete. There's just a few patches that need to fill in, but other than that, I think the carpet itself is at full strength, and the tank, it just looks awesome. How can you not like this? Now, about 2 weeks after I planted this, the tank was all cycled because it was a pre-existing filter, so I didn't have to worry about too much, and I could add fish pretty much right away. I played it safe, waited 2 weeks, and then I went down to Aquarium Zen, which is my favorite aquascaping store here in the Pacific Northwest, and I picked up a school of ember tetras. I used to keep ember tetras a long time ago, but then stopped keeping them, and I've re-fallen in love with them, and I think they're the perfect addition into this tank. Let me know down in the comments if you would have done a different fish, or if you think the ember tetras are a perfect addition. So there you have it. I think this tank is a massive improvement from the first scape that I had. If you haven't seen that first video of the failed tank in this setup, then I'll link it on the screen here. I'll also link it in the video description below. I highly recommend you go check that out, because the transformation from, well heck, I'll just put it on the screen. The transformation from this to this looks incredible, and I'm so much happier with this tank than I was the first one. I think that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.